Welcome everyone to the Daytona International Speedway and the first race of the Elite Championship Racing GTR Sim Series here at Daytona. It's going to be a 120 lap race. Currently we are under qualifying for another just about 7 minutes. Bringing you all the action here, the one-man team being myself, Gary Weaver. At the moment, once again, we're just waiting for qualifying to finish up before we get underway with this race. Again, 120 laps here at this 2.5 mile course. And then next week, we also head to the road course, the Daytona road course. And that is definitely going to be something to very much keep in mind heading into the next couple of weeks. Is again just the difference between, of course, the road course and the oval. Of course, there's a massive difference, hence the extreme change of direction, quite literally left and right. But that does provide a very interesting challenge for some of these drivers coming into tonight. At the moment, it looks to be about 30 or so drivers. Going to get a quick double check on that once qualifying is over. And while we await that, the end of qualifying more specifically, we're going to go ahead and see who is exactly where on track. And we're going to take a look, see where these drivers are at, where they are running here in just a couple of moments' time. Once we make sure that everything is a-okay over on this end, which it looks like it is. To go ahead and head over and see which one of these drivers can set a fast lap here. So far, it is Gary Bauer in the first place position. Let's take a look at the number 81. It's actually just now rolling off on his starting lap. Looks like the 81 might be one of the only drivers actually that has yet to, one of the drivers under the 22nd on back that has not yet set a qualifying time. Some of these drivers actually finishing up their lap times. And of course, the oval is allowed to be used, the travel more specifically is allowed to be used to gain a starting time. Matthew Hibbs has already completed his lap time. That's the 60th Chris McCullough. Complete his lap time, but the sound of him slowing down he has. Same with Daniel Reese. So I might go back to the 81 of Joshua Susi, who has just started his lap time. Not taking the lone line, interestingly enough, as we await the 81 and his qualifying position to see where he sets himself as he comes across the start-finish line. About 3.5 minutes left. That lap time for the 81 will set him into 16th place for the time being. The question is, can he better that lap time with of course, the last one being a 47.266. That's going to be the key thing to take a look at later on. A few more drivers as well have decided to come out and set their lap times. So we'll watch up to the end of Susi's lap here as he rounds off turn number 4. This time he sticks to the very low groove, as low as possible, just so he can get as much speed as possible across the start-finish line on the apron. That's about possibly 4/10 of a second better, enough to get in position number 6. A great job by the 81 Joshua Susi. Jim Westerfield, judging by the 7-minute lap time, he has decided, he's actually started his qualifying run, I should say. Of course, for those of you who are new to the Racing Line Broadcast Network, or just now realizing, completely unrelated by the way, that apparently YouTube thinks our bitrate is higher than recommended. We'll keep an eye on that. as it's only a suggestion. If anything does happen to lower the quality of the stream, we will be adjusting that accordingly, which we might have to, actually, by the looks of this. But the quality is lower than expected. We do apologize. Everything is all good on this end. By the looks of it, double checking. Yep, everything looks to be a-okay on this side. But we will adjust accordingly if we have to, which we might have to by the looks of this. In the meantime, 35 of Jim Westerfield comes across. We'll finish up his second lap time. 0.7 of a second faster. A 47 flat gives him 17th place for the time being. The 03 of Kenny McCauley Jr. We'll say hello into the top 15 drivers. Joshua Johnson has came to a stop. Matthew McCann puts himself into 28th place, and Kurt Quist has not moved quite yet from his starting spot. I think Joshua Johnson is trying the old strategy of the slower I do the lap time, the more guarantee I have to be at the back of the field. And, well, he has a minute left as he pulls a bit more forward. An alternative way is also just to not qualify, but might want to at least say that he set a lap time in at the very least. I'm actually quite curious if he did set his lap time, which again, judging by the last lap being 2 and almost 3 minutes, which was his warm-up time, the time from him getting to pit road to the start-finish line from warm-up, well, he might have set a lap time. So we'll see here in the final 15 seconds what staggering lap time that the 57 sets here. This is a very, very fast pace here at Daytona, completely normal. Kurt Quist has not yet moved, and across the line with 6 seconds to spare is a staggering 7 minutes and 0.2 seconds. Enough for 30th place. And that is pretty much all said and done in terms of the qualifying session. And now it is where the fun begins here, coming into tonight with your starting grid. On the front row, for some reason, our starting grid is appearing incorrectly, so we do apologize for that. We'll see if we can get that corrected here momentarily. If not, we'll read it off the old-fashioned way to see if that fixes anything as well. Well, for some reason, by the looks of this, everything has decided to absolutely break itself. And even we are not sure as to why. So we'll do this the old-fashioned way and start right off from the pace car, if we can find it. Which, of course, it should be in pit road. There it is. So, since we're forced to do this the old-fashioned way, unfortunately, we'll give the starting grid at least one more shot, which has suddenly decided for some reason to no longer work. It is Gary Bauer starting off on the front row, with Jay Anderson starting off in second. In fact, I believe we can actually do results this way for qualifying more specifically. No, we cannot. Apparently, for some reason, everything has decided to absolutely brick. So we apologize for that. That is completely out of our control. And not exactly sure as to why that has decided to break. We'll give this one more shot for your starting grid before we just decide to let the field roll off and do what it does best, and that is race at 200 miles an hour for 120 laps. Waiting for everything to load up just to make sure it works. It looks like the old turn off and on again has done the trick. So, with your official starting grid, it is Gary Bauer on the front row, with second place being Jay Anderson. Starting off in third place, it's going to be Joey Stats, and the number 3 machine, Andrew Hibbs, and the number 9 starts off in fourth. Fifth place is Matthew Hibbs. 97 rolls off in sixth place. That is Stephen Massey. Brad Bothwell starts off in the 96 machine in 7th place. The 81 of Joshua Susi starts off in 81st. In 8th place in the 81 car. Matt Smeethers starts off in the 33 car in 9th, and starting 10th place is Jeremy Rubin. And we have Chris McCullough and Kenny McCullough Jr. starting 11th and 12th. 13th and 14th are Ryan Hendrick and Jonathan Boger. Rounding out the top 15 is Trey Davis. On his outside, it is Jordan R. Mackey. David Moody starts off in 17th. 18th place is Daniel Reese. 19th place is going to be Jim Westerfield with Anthony Fitchener starting in 20th. Brian Dipple and Jeremy Freer start off 21st and 22nd. 23rd and 24th are Michael Leiby and John Minkowski. 25th is Jeremiah Stutzman. Jacob Greider starts off in 26th. 27th is Josh Mayu. 28th is Matthew McCann. 29th is Mark Figueroa, and the most staggering lap time that we have ever seen at Daytona is set by Joshua Johnson in 30th place. Kurt Quist and Michael Atkins Jr. did not qualify. And that rounds out your 32 car field. Well, for 120 laps, this field will be going racing at 200 miles an hour. The green flag flies, and we're underway at Daytona. Just like that, the first lap is complete here at the Daytona International Speedway. It is one down and 119 to go. Halfway under 60 if need be. As these drivers fly down the back straight, we're going to be having to utilize, most likely, these onboard cameras quite a lot. Coming down the back straightaway especially. In fact, we may need to use the external because the three of Joey Stats snuck to the inside of Jay Anderson in the number 18 machine. They might try and sneak to the inside, actually, of Gary Bauer, but to no avail across the start-finish line. Everyone relatively single file except for these drivers up on the outside lane. And the 18 of Jay Anderson, at least being led by the 18 of Jay Anderson. And right when I say that, he dives right down to the inside lane, so that's going to leave Andrew Hibbs up on the outside with absolutely no help unless the 24 of Matthew Hibbs decides to let him in. Or if he moves up to the outside lane, we'll see. And that sun off of turn number 4 is going to be absolutely brutal in the late stages of this race. But it does go that far. Already it's very, very bright. For some of the drivers, myself included, if you're running in VR, that is very painful in some cases coming off turn 4, seeing a very bright ball of light absolutely blinding you, and you're not really able to see in front of you in any way. Drivers sorting themselves out on the inside lane just to be on the safe side, not to push anything too early on. And at most, by the looks of this, actually a couple drivers coming down pit road very, very early. That is Jay Anderson as well as Gary Bauer. Not sure if there's a start violation of some sort, or they both decided to have planned this ahead of time, but regardless, both of them on pit road very early on in this race. In fact, a drive-through by the looks of it, so both of them, looks like I've gotten a drive-through penalty of some sort. We'll see what we can get here on specifics later on in this race. So that's going to leave Joey Stats leading the field on the inside lane. Matthew Hibbs, second place behind him. second. Andrew Hicks second, correction. Matthew Hicks was third. Stephen Massey fourth. And fifth place is Joshua Susi, all the way back to ninth place, being the 82 of Jordan Mackey. That is a 1 second gap between himself and the leaders. Jonathan Boger in the number 7 machine, being in some cases a bit out there in terms of being within a second or not compared to the leader. Couple drivers up on the outside lane midfield. Trying to get exact car numbers, and we will not call them out until we see otherwise. Being led by the L5 of Daniel Reese. If his connection decides to stabilize, Kurt Quist was sitting behind him, but after that, I wouldn't be surprised about backing off and going right down to the inside lane. Gary Bauer, drive through or not, at least did get the pole award, and a connection issue, unfortunately enough, stabilizes for the time being. Gary Bauer did get the pole award, brought to you by Drivenclad. Which of course is the sponsor for the 57 machine of Joshua Johnson. Very easy race so far, though. No one trying to make any major moves, and that's a great thing that everyone's single file. Except unfortunately for these 4 cars in the back who may have just now gotten themselves sorted. The 02 of Josh Mayu leads them. Ryan Dipple in the number 20 is 27th. Now we have the 33 of Matt Smethers in that number 33 machine. And then is Jeremiah Stutzman. Looking at this 4-car group, Brad Bothwell all on his own. He could get some help, though, by Bauer and Anderson here when they catch up to him. So Joey Stats continues to lead the field. We'll see if anyone's trying to make a move up on the outside. It is Kurt Quist once again. Although being the only driver up on the outside, a couple drivers try and peek up, maybe debating that idea. Like the 5 of Michael Leiby has decided to follow as well up on the outside lane. A very great looking car. Great use of the Gatorade logo. As another driver as well up on the outside follows suit. That's the 05 again of Daniel Reese. Decides this time, well, he should be behind these drivers just in case anything were to happen with his connection once again. 57 of Johnson as well joins up on the outside. Now that those 10 laps have sorted themselves out almost to completion, everyone trying to see where they can really get here when it comes to the outside lane, how quickly they can form up. They're not even having to really bum draft each other. The inside lane is very spaced out just to be on the safe side, really, of everyone's driving styles, to make sure that everyone gets through. Make sure that you're not putting anyone else at risk of getting taken out of this 120 lap event, where we have now 110 laps to go. Currently, as projected, at least by the beginning of this race, everything should be relatively within the hour-and-a-half mark. It's only 1.5 hours. Everything should be good throughout this event, provided that everything does stay as it is right now. Fortunately, the momentum for the 5 had stagnated a bit on the back straightaway, but he has that right back right on the outside lane, giving it all the car width possible, while still not slowing himself down with that outside wall, just staying right in the middle lane. Huge connection issue for somebody on the inside lane. That would definitely that'd be a bit terrifying. In fact, just over 200 miles an hour. In fact, even just a look, we'll take a look to see who has the fastest lap here. So far, it is set by Kurt Quist with a 44.435. So the outside lane has done that 95 good. at least temporarily. The outside lane is definitely going to be doing this. Fourth car up on the outside lane is a lot of good here. That is the 97 of Stephen Massey. Peeks up to the outside again. Goes right back to the inside. I can listen to some of these onboards here throughout these laps. Or maybe not crash in the back. It's a couple drivers around. The 42 of Jeremy Rubin coming up on the end of a huge crash, which by the looks of it has involved the number 93 of John Mankowski. And unfortunately, the 13 of Jeremy Freer, where the entire portion of that car, the entire front portion of that car more specifically, is pretty much gone, unfortunately. So we'll see exactly what happened here with the 13 of Jeremy Freer. This is about a couple corners before that. This is on that lap, on this lap where the caution has just now come out. Going into turn one, does somebody have an issue here? Someone blowing engine early on. Oh no, it started just up ahead actually. Lone spin. A couple drivers make contact. Jeremy, oh man, he just doesn't know where to go. I think look at an onboard just, oh, it was the 93 with a lone spin. John Mankowski. 53 and the 57 make contact, and Freer with just, he doesn't know where to go, doesn't know what 93 is going. So take a look at it one more time, this time from the top-down view. Number 93, second car at the bottom of your screen on that low lane. And that third car at the bottom of the screen moves up, and tire wear just decides otherwise. Catches the 53, 57 makes contact, and Jeremy with nowhere to go. And that unfortunately has brought out the first caution of the day. A few drivers have decided to take themselves into pit road, interestingly enough. So for some of these drivers, in the case of, say, Trey Davis, oh, never mind, I was about to say for those who have 0 seconds on their time, or times on their stops in general, so many drivers in pit road that, unfortunately, timing is being a bit overused here. So we'll see if we can get that taken care of a bit later on. So there's so much information that our overlay is deciding to not exactly think that it's a great idea. I see a few drivers, one driver, Brad Bothwell, a 7.15 second pit stop. Pretty much everybody from 9th place on back has went to pit road, and that driver that was first in, first out was Joshua Susi with a 7.2 second pit stop. Only getting fuel, most likely, maybe some right side tires. So 1st through 8th have yet to pit currently. Right now it's just a matter of waiting. I'm going to go ahead and take a very quick commercial break. We'll be right back here in time for the green flag for the Elite Championship Racing GTR Sim Series here, if the lights do decide to remain on. The first caution slowing things down at around lap 13. Lights on the pace car will shut off, and we get the 1-2-go signal. So interestingly enough, the 3 of Joey Stats chooses the outside lane. Andrew Hibbs will start on the inside as a result of that lane choice by the number 3. Right now it's just a matter of time waiting for the field to get caught up, get restored, get around. get back going. Unfortunately, some drivers like Matthew McCann, one of the drivers that was caught up in the initial caution that we have just had, is currently sitting in pit road, and he has been sitting in his pit stall for currently, by the looks of it, around 2 minutes 45 seconds. Trying to get everything repaired. Jeremy Freer as well may be done in terms of aero, just based off the aero alone, because the front of that car is pretty much gone if we take a closer look at this. I mean, the entire front of that car is gone. He could still, of course, get at least a few positions, depending on what happens in the next few portions of this race, but that entirely depends on that alone. So the 13 not entirely out of it just yet, but it's not looking too good, unfortunately, just based off of that aero alone. So the pace car has pulled off and the green flag is back out. We're back underway here at Daytona. Great start by Joey Stats on the inside lane. An absolutely wonderful job at utilizing the outside. Getting that early jump. Of course, Andrew Hibbs didn't want to push the issue, which is, of course, very much understandable to not push for the issue so early on in this race. It's all about give and take in these early stages. Jordan Mackey in the 82, working with Anthony Fitchener in the 87 up on the outside lane. Have David Moody behind them, as well as, by the looks of it, possibly the 23 of Ryan Hedrick. The drivers now making their way down the back straightaway, getting up to speed. The 9 of Hibbs was all over the back bumper of Joey Stats there down the back. Trying to say, go, go, go. I want the outside lane. And if he does want it, he is clear on the outside lane. And he tried to make a move, but he was way too late off turn number 4. Trying to get some amount of bonus points as quickly as possible. Whatever he can at this point. At this point, it would be a good move for Hibbs to move up to the outside lane, at least whenever possible, because these two drivers, the 3 and the 9, are, of course, on the same team, that being Thunderfoot E-Racing. That's the 3 of Joey Stats, the 9 of Andrew Hibbs, the 24 of Matthew Hibbs, and the 48 of John Caudle. If I remember correctly, the 48 did not show up for this race, unfortunately, and he did not. So teammates controlling positions 1, 2, and 3 now at the moment, as the entire outside lane is broken up. The 87 of Anthony Fitchener, unfortunately, leaving that 82 out to dry. Those two, of course, are not on the same team. In that case, that wasn't obvious enough. Double checking just to make sure. I believe the 82 actually is on the team. With the 5 of Michael Leiby. And where's that 5 of Michael Leiby? Well, he's all the way back in 18th place at the moment. Correction, 17th place now that he gets by Kurt Quist. So those two want to work together. They have to make their way up as fast as possible. With the 82 and the 5, more specifically. 97 of Stephen Massey tries the outside charge all on his lonesome. platform of the 87. Driver off to the infield. That is David Saves it. And he'll slow himself down. A very good call to slow himself down and get onto the apron. What a save by the 28. I don't know if he got tagged. Whatever happened has happened, and now Moody has fallen back all the way to 27th. There's a long replay here, but we'll see exactly what happened to the 28 of David Moody here. That's coming through the tri-oval when the 97 is making his way around the outside. Saw that just out of the corner of my eye, a car go flying off into the tri-oval. Did the 42 make contact? Or is it the apron? Because it could have been the apron that caught him out. And it was, yep, it was the apron that caught him out going straight through the pit exit, most likely getting that black flag cleared. But what a great job by David Moody to keep that car under control throughout all of that. He's still continuing forward. Granted, he does not have the draft anymore, but it's better to still have a car that runs rather than not have the draft. Jonathan Boger was up on the outside lane. Or is up on the outside lane. Not sure if he's falling back or just trying to find a place to slot in. He does actually find a place to slot in. It's directly in front of the 42 of Jeremy. So now this is the part of the race where we see pit strategy come into play, especially for some of those who have to. Emphasis on we've only had 8 drivers stay out of pit road on that first caution. The entire rest of the field from 9th to 32nd, whether you're still running or not, well, with the exception of David Moody in this case. Correction, 9 drivers that have not pitted. No, still 8 actually. Well, you have to pit at some point. When that point is, all depends on how hard these drivers decide to push. Joey's stats in this case might be, say, a lap behind on estimated fuel compared to Andrew Hibbs. Trying to get everything as equal as possible for their pit stops. Trying to split team 2 and 2 versus another. Let's take a look at the drivers who gained or lost the most positions so far. Michael Atkins Jr. in 13th has gained 19 positions. Kurt Quist has gained 20 positions. He sits 11th. So far, I think we can give Kurt Quist that a hard charger award, essentially. Whether there is or isn't one. Still a great job as he tries to slot himself in. Wouldn't really want to pull a Ty Dillon here. Make sure you actually clear before you move down. He almost had it. He wasn't sure, and he actually did back out of it. Now he's got space. And now he slots himself in front of Jeremy Rubin. And then he goes right back up to the outside lane as we take a look on board from Rubin. Does Rubin follow Quist on the outside? No. This is impressive, though, that Kurt Quist is making this run alone on the outside lane because everyone on the inside isn't so pushed together. There's the 13 of Jeremy Freer. Luckily able to get going still. 7 laps down now, but his car is still running. Like the actual Daytona 500, you just want to repair as much as you can if possible and get to the end. 97 of Stephen Massey has moved up to the outside lane. Notice how all these drivers aren't exactly bumper to bumper, pushing each other all over the place on the inside lane. That's because they know that at this point it's not worth pushing on the inside lane. It's not worth pushing at all unless they're up on the outside, like Massey and Quist. But at the same time, enough to get that bit of a charge as you see the three bobble a lot. Enough to get a charge is good enough for a bump on the back straightaway, and that's what these top three drivers are doing right now. Coming around to start lap number 30 as the clouds, I believe, cover the racetrack. Only one caution so far. The longest we've gone on without a caution is officially it was 12 laps in where we got that first caution. And then we went back green flag racing on lap number 15. So as we cross the point to lap number 30 here, the first of 3 races that will be broadcast, we're not going to go commercial because, well, this is the question I was wondering, which has now been answered. It is pit stops. Joey Stat's the first to be in pit road. And let's hope our timing and scoring stays in one piece, not in multiple pieces. We kind of need this for scoring purposes, of course. It's going to be a key thing as well, is getting into your pit box smooth. So see David Moody in the background. I was wondering about his strategy. He might just take fuel only at this point. Wouldn't be surprised. Some drivers may be taking tires. Moody drives right through pit road and doesn't stop in his pit box. Did he miss his pit stall by chance? Not sure what happened with David Moody there. He just drove right through pit road as if he had to serve a drive-through penalty. Didn't stop in his box. And that alone was a full 16 seconds. Did he just want to get with other drivers? Try and save a bit more fuel. But now this leaves the 87 and 7, Anthony Fitchener and Jonathan Boger, in 3rd and 4th, having to pit in the next 3 or so laps. Most. Did they decide to come to pit road? Not yet. Pit strategy is going to be wild in this race unless we get something to reset it. Which in this instance I don't think is going to be all too possible. 24 of Matthew Hibbs, the 42 of Jeremy Rubin up on the outside lane. Going to be laying the leader's spot here momentarily. There they go down the inside lane, passing by. We're going to see if Anthony Fitchener and Jonathan Boger go to pit road. I don't think they might, considering that the lead cars have pit 30 laps in. These guys are going to stretch it as much as they can. A very interesting strategy call, if you do ask me. Probably not have been an early pit as well for those drivers in the top 30. In the top 10 at the time, more correction, that ran 30 laps. Which leaders are now attempting to get around. This is going to be a bit, not exactly chaotic per se, but something to definitely keep an eye on, that is for sure. Waiting, giving a bit of a gap. I don't think Massey wants to really pass them and slow these guys up. Maybe he wants to try and fuel save a bit. Maybe that's why he's not going so fast as to go by them. Now he goes up on the outside lane, and leaders will follow suit. This is going to stall out some of these drivers as we see Jonathan Boger in that number 7 machine. He lays back. He's on the lead lap. The drivers that are currently on the inside lane that you see in shot, the 3, the 82, the 28, and the 9 are about to go a lap down. And we see the leaders, the 97, the 95, and the 87, as well as the 7, laying back, at least for the number 7. This could, again, stall out the inside lane, or stall out the outside lane in the leaders. So that could be why the 97 of Massey was so hesitant, and I don't blame him, really. But depending on when we get another caution, or if we get another caution, this could help out these 4 cars that have almost just gone a lot down. Yeah, even the 9 is backed out of Andrew Hibbs. A very good call. The 13 of Jeremy Freer. It's going to be 3 wide for a split second here. Luckily, it was just down the back straightaway, so nothing too major for any issues. Yeah, the 87 of Fitchener backs out, sits behind these lap down cars. At least what would be lap down cars, as they pass by the 53 of Matthew McCann, who had some involvement in the first wreck on lap number 12 and had some damage ever since. Hasn't really recovered since as well. He's currently 3 laps down. Well, it doesn't look like there's a lot of damage on that 53. He must have gotten some type of suspension damage for sure. First, falling back to the inside lane. Same with Steven Massey. Up the outside lane, passing by Anthony Fitchener. So your lead cars are from the 97 on back. From more specifically, any driver that is the 97 and behind the 97 is on the lead lap. The front 4 drivers that we see in front of the 97, technically still on the lead lap, but in line to get lapped. Quite literally in line. Led by Joey Stats, the 82 of Jordan Mackey, the 28 of David Newton, the 9 of Andrew Hibbs, the Joey Stats, the number 3 on it. Very convoluted way of saying he is driving the number 3. Oh, we're going to wait until about lap 40 here. And we'll come back if anything does happen. But at the moment, we're planning to do a full screen commercial. Especially with how this race has gone on so far. Very clean, aside from the about 3-car wreck that we had earlier. 32 cars still running. 33 scheduled to start. As we come to lap number 39. Oh, this is going to be something that is quite interesting. It's something that I've never seen before. And so much for going to that full screen commercial, because we have pit stops once again. Kurt Twist lighting that right front tire up. Still makes the unit in time. For 97, Steven Massey leads them down, along with the 80 of Anthony Fitchener. These guys are in about 25 laps, interestingly enough. Jonathan Boger, the only driver to run the longest so far tonight, a total of 40 laps. Will it be 40 complete laps if he goes into pit road this time? Technically, yes. Does he continue to stay out and stretch that run a bit longer? Ryan Hedrick, Jacob Grider, Joshua Susi have been on track for about 25 laps, with 28 and the 7 pitting the same lap. Double checking just to be sure. Over on timing. Boger on his own independent team, 28. Saw that overshot, unfortunately, for the 7. That's going to slow him up just a bit. Now, it takes 16 seconds normally to get through pit road. Does he take 4 tires? He does. 40 laps in. That's an interesting call, to be quite honest. At least both of these drivers have someone to work with. 40 laps in, I'd say that's a reasonable call in terms of pit strategy. 40 laps, 80 laps, and you just go to the end on tires. Same with Field, trying to two-stop this race. Well, with the pattern of everything that has been going on so far, we're going to go ahead and make a decision to instead go to go to double wide instead of going into a full screen commercial, especially if we do have this coming up on hand. More specifically, pit stops if anything does happen. So far, it's currently Ryan Hedrick in the lead, picking up any and all possible bonus points. And sitting in second place directly behind him is Jacob Greider with Joshua Susi. We're going to stay here for a couple more laps up until about lap 45, then we'll go double wide and we'll follow any pit stops that do happen. But at the moment, no one's really making a budge to pit road. The interesting thing here is that strategy can range from so small as, say, 25 or so laps compared to 40 laps. It's a huge mix of strategies here. As the 7 gets himself back on the lead lap, here comes the 5 of Michael Leiby, trying to follow that draft train that the 7 was leaving to no avail. Driver going into pit road. Get that car number in a second. That is the 93 of Jonathan Minkowski. Can get his pit stall nice and smooth. He does. 4 tires in the pit box, which is all that matters. So the right sides go up. We'll see if the left sides go up as well for the 93. Yes, they do. So about lap 30 onwards, if you run on your tires and fuel, your run in general, you need to take tires. I think it's a very smart call. So coming to complete lap 45 here for the Elite Championship Racing GTR Sim Series. This is a new way of doing pit stops in a way where the field goes backwards, forming in the sense of pit stops. Coming to lap 30 or 31, 32 for some of these drivers on their runs. We'll be back and we won't miss a single thing here as we go double wide.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics and engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12 Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
We are back live here at the virtual Daytona International Speedway. Currently still running under green flag conditions. Your not exactly finishing results, but current results so far are Michael Leiby, Ryan Hedrick, Jacob Greer, Joshua Susi, Michael Atkins Jr., Mark Figueroa, Matt Smithers, Jim Westerfield, Josh Mayu, and Trey Davis, your top 10 last time by at the start-finish line. And so far, everything has been relatively calm, save for a couple instances of passes here and there, some pit stops. That has pretty much been all that has been said. Really, nothing else has changed since then. So Michael Leiby had snuck into the lead momentarily, then promptly got sorted way back. Unfortunately, having a few issues with our overlay, which we may have to sort out here in a bit. But in the meantime, after nearly half of this race distance, we're getting closer and closer to the end, getting into that final stretch. More and more that we run, of course. Having only one caution so far, and what is now going to be considered the first half of this race at lap 12, which involved the 53 of Matthew McCann and Jeremy Freer, as well as the 57 earlier on of Joshua Johnson. But throughout all that, even after all that, some of these drivers still running, especially Jeremy Freer, who we saw just there on the left-hand side. There he is. Even with no front bumper, he still decided, well, you know what? I'm going to race here. I don't care if I'm, what's now 10 laps down. I'm going to finish this race. And we see his pace. His last lap was at 50.5. We'll see what comes to be at the start-finish line, 51.1. That's compared to the leaders a full 5 seconds faster as pit stops continue to occur. One driver coming out of the pit road, that is Jeremiah Stutzman. A few connection issues for him for a quick second, but he is all good. Currently still sitting under green flag conditions with, well, if we were going on time, it would be 2 hours left. Someone who definitely does not have enough time and lights up both tires. He might have gotten a speeding penalty for that. Ryan Hedrick on pit entry. I don't know about that one. Also, unfortunately, a slight mishap with our overlay. We cannot get the green flag signal back up, so if a caution does come out, at least you would know. Regardless, we are still under green flag conditions. Is the 23 really not taking tires after all that? That would be a very interesting call. He's not taking tires after lighting them up on pit entry and after running almost the entire first half of the race on limited tires. That's a very, very interesting call. Here comes the 81 of Joshua Susi now down the pit road, all on his lonesome. Now the question is, where is he in comparison to the next driver behind him? That is Jacob Grider in the number 49 machine, all the way on the back straightaway. In fact, if we take a look at our track map over on our end, the 49 is just now making his way into turn number 3. It's a very quick gas and go for Joshua Susi as well. After only 40 laps, no tires. 40 laps on that run, no tires. A 5.8 second pit stop for Susi. Meanwhile, coming up pit road, where is the 49 of Grider? He is travel exit, middle of the travel exit. Now going down to the entry of turn number 1. What a call by the 81. I wonder if he's banking on a caution by chance. We're just hoping to get to the end on worn tires, maybe taking one set later on. That gap is still closing between Jacob Grider and Brad Bothwell, at least, or between Jacob Grider and Joshua Tsusi. The gap between Grider and Bothwell, well, they're pretty much within the shot, and a caution is out. It's not Ryan Hedrick. We'll see who it is. It's the 20, not the 24. In fact, we'll see who this was. Unless it was planned to be a stage-ending yellow. We'll see what information we can get in the... That's our bad with that. Wrong scene selected. Fun behind-the-scenes moments here. Looks like it's a halfway break, just about. In fact, I may have overlooked something. It may be a stage caution. I might be blind. We'll see. It's one or the other. I could admit to that. I might be blind. I might have looked over that. Regardless, the caution is out just before halfway. Double checking just to make sure. Yep, stage caution, and guess what? It's at halfway. So, like I said, I am indeed very, very blind. So, I apologize for that. But we did get that sorted out. Luckily, no one wrecked. Now, this is where all... I was going to say, this is where all strategies pretty much reset to be the same. Does anyone stay out aside from the lap cars? No. That really is no surprise that everyone is deciding to stay out here. That lap cars, or I should say, are deciding to stay out here. Now the fun part of, really, where will these drivers end up here? Especially since they're all, again, going to be on the same strategy, unless a couple of drivers have decided to stay out. Our overlay is freaking out, as we can see from the many numbers, both on and off screen, that are being calculated at that speed very, very quickly. First driver off pit road, Joshua Tsusi, by the looks of it. Brad Bothwell second off pit road. And many other drivers. Most likely, of course, taking tires and fuel. Kenny McCullough Jr. only took less than a second pit stop. Did something happen to the 03 on pit road, I wonder? Let's see if we can take a quick look here at the 03 of Kenny McCullough Jr. Because if he did actually have less than a second pit stop, I wonder he did. That's showing on both ends, both from the overlay and our timing and scoring. Did he really, if he, that's his pit box. He stops. Not sure why we're being shown 0.8 seconds. Oh, a huge overshot from the 23. It's a good thing we look back at this. So that 0.8 second pit stop is apparently an error on our end. Apologies for that. Was not expecting that. So aside from being blind, we will be going back green by the looks of it, just with about one lap before halfway. Meantime, speaking of going back green, we'll see. Apparently, by the looks of it, Daytona 500 might also be going back green as well momentarily. In fact, by the looks of it, should be as of 5 minutes ago. For any of those who are interested and can't really somehow who have not kept up, have not been able to keep up, I should say, for the Daytona 500. In the meantime, is a predicted 46 minutes. We'll go with 46 minutes for the second half of the race. Now, at the pace of this has been going, only one caution in the first half. This race has been going incredibly well. And if these drivers keep up what they've been doing, granted, single file, not always exciting, but it's essentially quality over quantity. In this case, quality of racing over quantity of cautions. That kind of does and does not make sense at the same time now that I realize I say that out loud. But you kind of get the points. It's the quality of green flag racing. The more green flags, of course, the better. And compared to only the one caution that we've had so far, I'd say it's a pretty fair trade-off to have relatively single file racing up until the end. It's a very fair assumption as well, considering that, well, the pace car, we may not see this again until, I'd say, about 20 to go. And we'll see how things go. A restart back underway here, coming to the halfway point of this race. One lap until halfway. Green flag flies. Their top 10 at the time have gotten stage points. I'll have all that information more than likely available next race. The road course at Daytona. Look at that. Everyone immediately not exactly going to single file because, well, we have Brad Bothwell in the 96 up on the outside lane as the sun has set here at Daytona, continues to set. We have the 96 of Brad Bothwell, the 49 of Jacob Grider, the 82 of Jordan Mackey. The pit strategy for some of these drivers has actually played off incredibly well. And we see how well, especially for drivers like, again, the 96 Brad Bothwell, who started all the way actually in 7th. We haven't really seen him, though, throughout this entire race. Unless he's been silently lurking in about the top 10 positions. In fact, we'll go through your entire top 10 at the moment and see where they have ended up. Joshua Searcy started 8th, and he currently sits in the lead, being pushed by Andrew Hibbs, who started 4th, currently sits in 2nd place. That's going to be subject to change. Brad Bothwell, who we just mentioned, started 7th, battling for the top 3. Jacob Grider started in 26th position, currently sits 4th place, might sit 3rd place if he does leave the 96 out to dry. Stephen Massey, 1 position up from where he started. On paper, not too bad of a race. Joey Stats, on paper, again, not too bad of a race. Started 3rd, lost a few positions, but he is still continuing. Jordan Mackey in the number 82, started 16th. He's up 10 positions. Mark Figueroa might have the proverbial hard charge reward in that 0 machine. Started in 29th, nearly last, the 2nd to last row on the field. He sits in 7th. A great job. A great shout out to the 00 for just keeping with it. The 60 of Chris McCullough started 11th, currently sits in 8th. Brian Hedrick started 13th, sits 9th. And Kenny McCullough Jr. started 10th, started 12th, and sits 10th. Relatively easy for some of these drivers so far throughout this event. It's going to be a relatively easy second half for the moment because, again, these drivers taking it very easy, conserving their tires, their fuel, their cars themselves. Very conservative approach here to this strategy at Daytona, and a very good job as well. Apparently 24 of Matthew Hibbs is out. Same with Jonathan Boger and the 41 Michael Atkins Jr. Not sure as to why, if there was contact in the back or their engines had just suddenly come bust. Regardless, these drivers still continuing to make their rounds. 9 might be going up to the out. He's very indecisive here. This is the part where you either pick a line or you just stay where you are. That could have ended in a bit of a larger disaster as the 97 cuts the nose off the 81 machine. Exactly cuts the nose off, but definitely does cut it very, very close to contact. In the meantime, as this race does continue on into the second half, we're going to be going to a side. We're going to go double wide once again, so we don't miss a single thing. And this time we'll stay double wide, because the first time we had to do a couple of things just to make sure that everything was actually going to be proper over on iRacing's end. As the 9 that gets stuck into the middle lane, we'll leave you with this battle going into double wide. Well, we are back as the caution is out once again in the second half for the second time today, possibly involving the 3 of Joey Stats on the back straightaway, possibly another driver as well, and we'll see what exactly had happened here. We got an aerial view here, viewing the number 3 of Joey Stats. Off of turn number 2 on the back straightaway, does the 49. Oh, was it 2 points of contact? Surprisingly, no. Huge neck. Oh man, that's definitely some internet for sure, unfortunately. Wow. And somehow Stats was just able to keep it off the wall. After all of that. And 95 Kurt Quist was also caught up in this. Look at him just moving way down to the inside lane to stay out of the way. I'm surprised the caution was called for that. That might have been why. Yep, caught up with the number 23 machine. 2 separate wrecks at once, essentially. We see the 3 of Joey Stats. He keeps off the wall. 95 of Kurt makes contact with 2 other drivers. The 82 getting caught up in that as well. Man, oh man. It's about what is essentially, I believe, a 4-car wreck, just about. The 82 car being Jordan Mackey getting caught up in that. He's getting some repairs as well. Multiple drivers in pit road. If you have stayed out, one of them being Gary Bauer. Anderson stayed out as well, I believe, by the looks of that. He did. The only 2 drivers to stay out. So at this point, we will take a quick commercial break once again. I'll be back with your restart in this case, and your restart lineup. But after the 3rd caution, the 2nd caution due to wreck, and the 3rd caution in total. Back live on the back straightaway now, and your top 10 at the start finish line, as well as for your restart, is as follows. It is Gary Bauer, Jay Anderson starting 1st and 2nd. Starting 3rd place, restarting 3rd place is going to be Andrew Hibbs. Stephen Massey restarting in 4th. Joshua Cece restarts in 5th. 6th place, Michael Leiby. Kenny McCullough Jr. restarts in 7th. Restarting 8th is Anthony Thitchener. Restarting 9th is Mark Figueroa, and restarting in 10th is Josh Mayu. 48 laps to go here in this 120 lap event. It's been pretty spare of cautions so far, but unfortunately cautions breed cautions. As the age-old saying goes. Could this possibly be the one time where that doesn't happen? We'll wait and see. As the pace car pulls off into pit road, the green flag flies once again, and we're back underway here at Daytona. A great job so far for everyone to get relatively single filed out once again. The 5 left all in its lonesome. We've seen a couple solo drivers up on the outside lane in this race. Right now it's the 5. Most notably, it was Kurt Quist in the first half of the race. He currently sits 21st so far. Jay Anderson in the 18, the 97 and Stephen Massey lead the outside lane. The 27 and the 9 being Bauer and Hibbs. In this case, Andrew Hibbs, leave the inside lane way off center, but they get everything recentered and back together. And next weekend is going to be the Daytona Road Course, and then the week after it will be Homestead. And unfortunately, due to personal time constraints, we will not be able to bring the rest of the series, at least for the foreseeable future. We'd love to. By we, I mean me, but we sounds a bit better. But aside from that, this is very enjoyable. Granted, it's unfortunately only 3 races that we're able to broadcast. This series is still going on, of course. If you're interested, you can go ahead and check them out at the link in the description below. That goes right to their league website. Well, league Facebook, more specifically. It's been a bit of a long day. Anytime everyone back single file. And for how long is going to be the question. They are not within sight, by the way, of stretching it to the end. They're just about there, considering, again, we restart with 48 laps to go. But 50 laps, we really haven't seen anyone go more than 40. And the 3 choice stats as well is apparently out. After what happened on the back straightaway, having some more issues than what we've seen. A very good number though. Out of 33 cars, about 9 are out. 24 still remain on the lead lap. 27 in total still racing. The outside lane is formed back up once again. This time it's the 9 up on the outside lane, leading that charge, Andrew Hibbs. 97 Stephen Massey, second on the outside lane. And Mark Figueroa in the double zero. We talked about him earlier. I'll talk about him again. And the fact that he started 29th, he is fighting for the lead, essentially. My goodness. Listening to the sights and sounds here of Daytona. Since, of course, everyone is staggered out. Everyone's very staggered out, actually, up at the front of the pack now. Very heavily breaking off. Keeping half an eye on the 500 in the meantime, as they're still under caution. Luckily, we are not. Although we might be if drivers continue to run like this, very, very staggered and not exactly formed up. Not saying it's a bad thing to get all the positions that you want, but at the same time, at what risk? Accidents, of course, do happen, and we almost saw one there. Trey Davis in the 30. Everybody staggered out all over the place. So now it's a drag race for second down the back straightaway. Andrew Hibbs in the 9. Jay Anderson in the 18. The red and silver closest to the camera. From this angle, at least. Looking on board the back bumper now of Gary Bower. As we see the 97 and the 9 have a huge run up on the outside. Might be seeing a push here. Let's see how close he gets. Right on top of the back bumper, just about. is Jay Anderson, just enough to get there, but still trying to make sure that he doesn't bump Bauer enough to move him off the racetrack unintentionally. Closing in on now 40 laps to go. The front two runners have not pit for what is now going to be 28 laps. From third on back, they have pit 9 laps ago. Now the thing is, Bauer Anderson guaranteed loss here in terms of positions because of them staying out with the last caution. My question is, was that a good move or not? We'll have to wait and see. Figure out exactly if it was or not. Coming down to 40 laps to go at the start-finish line. Some of these drivers could maybe make it. Actually, correction, none of them are going to make it. Unless they might be stretching 50 laps, and we didn't know that in the first place. But at the moment, 40 laps is the maximum, just about. 45 is Anderson having a couple connection issues. He gets put back in the universe, and he's right back out again. This is unfortunately the theme of sim racing, is that internet is not always perfect. You're bound to have internet issues at some point. Harrison can only do so much, but in the end, or at the end of the day, it's always down to your personal internet. And there goes Anderson again. Maybe having a storm in his area. There was a storm in Florida, and apparently some around Carolina, I believe. South Carolina, just about. So it could be weather issues as well for Jay Anderson. We hear Anthony Fitchner lifting off just a bit to give him space, make sure that Anderson, of course, he still wants to run. That's why he's still there. He is sticking to the inside lane. He's not hurting anybody. He's not trying to push anyone. More power to him. Unless he decides to move off. It looks like he is. It looks like he isn't. This is a huge detriment to Jay Anderson. It's trying to knock him out. It might have actually permanently here. Oh, maybe not. He's back, but he's gone again. Anderson's internet issues, unfortunately, saying otherwise, as they run 3 wide for third place, second place actually. Fitchner moves up to the outside lane. Anderson, it's going to have to back out at some point, I think, as they go 3 wide for the race lead with 37 laps to go. As Fitchner has the internet issues of Anderson sorting themselves out. It looks like they have. It only took a couple laps, but again, it's always down to internet. Sometimes you have lag spikes, or sometimes packet loss spikes, just like Anderson has. You give it a few, you give it a couple laps in this case, in this context, and you're all good. In actual context of lap times, you give it just over a couple minutes, just under a couple minutes actually. Fitchner moves up to the outside lane in front of Andrew Hibbs as we nearly get fully under the lights here at Daytona. Ooh, that would have been an off-center shot. And it's a great job by Hibbs to back out there on the outside. For those who may be interested who are not able to watch the 500, you aren't missing much. Reason being, they're pacing around at about staggering 65, 75 miles an hour, just trying to get the track clear of any water. Trying to dry it off with the slower version of the vortex theory. Right now, Anthony Fitchner right now to the front row to get to the lead. Near contact between Hibbs and Bauer. They hang on to it. So for Bauer and Anderson, they're both going to pit at some point. They are coming to 34 laps maximum, or 34 laps on their run. They'll have to pit again at some point. Once we've seen is 40, unless someone can stretch it just past that, that's the maximum that we know. Tires, of course, they can stretch longer. Fuel, not so much. Laps continuing to wind down here. 35 laps to go on the back straightaway. At this point, if anyone pits from here on out, you are guaranteed to make it to the end of the race. Even then, those drivers that pit on that previous caution, they are about 16 to 15 laps already run. And there goes Bauer and Anderson to pit road to really no surprise. We'll see how they fare on pit entry. Oh, there's Anderson. Where's Bauer? Up there he is, right behind our timing pylon. Both smooth entry, though, and if they want to really maximize this... Oh, Anderson having a couple of internet connection issues again. Luckily in pit road this time. Not the best time, but still in pit road. If they want to maximize this, they'll have to get fuel only. Anderson goes for right side. Bauer goes for fuel only. Do the left sides go up on Anderson? Yes, they do. An interesting call. Full fuel for Bauer as well. He's down in the way. So is Anderson. And there go the leaders. And we'll keep an eye, actually, on these drivers on the back straightaway. Both Bauer and Anderson. The field should be catching up to them just out of turn number 2. And there it is, leaders on the back straightaway, just passing by. So now it's going to be a race to see who gets back on the lead lap first if we do have another caution. But they could maybe have the net lead here, depending on when these lead cars go to pit road. Again, everyone running single file, not trying to be so aggressive, even so late in this run. It's a very respectable decision. Is it the most exciting for pictures? Well, of course it is, but it's rather more about getting to the end rather than trying to be flashy for fans. It's getting to the end, putting on a show more with, again, quality over quantity, quality of green flag laps over the quantity of caution laps. Again, that still doesn't make sense now that I think about it, but you try to see what I'm going for. Again, repeating myself, but quality of how long you've run for green versus how long you've run under caution. So far, we only have 3 yellows. So now the question is, how much longer can these drivers run? Because at this moment, they can run to about lap 110 on fuel and get to the end, which could be at that point a splash and go. Not exactly a splash and go per se. But that depends on if these drivers can stretch this to the end. Those who are, say, Anthony Fitchener, Joshua Susi, in fact, Jeremy Rubin is the best in the situation here, as well as Kenny McCulloch Jr. Both are 18 laps on the run, same as Brad Bothwell. 18 laps on their early pit stops for a couple drivers, actually. One of them being Kenny McCulloch Jr., who I just mentioned, and there goes that theory. Chris McCulloch as well, Brad Bothwell, again, there goes that theory. All we're missing is Jeremy Rubin. So now, it's going to be quite something here. Coming down to what looks to be fuel strategy at the end of this race. Top 3 have about car length broken away, but not for long. Fitchener brings that gap right back up. Does anyone dare go to pit road so early on? They're in line to make it to the end. But do you want to run out your fuel tank now and be sure you get to the end, or do you want to be a bit overfueled essentially, possibly weigh the car down a bit more? Granted, it doesn't matter too much here at Daytona. It's all knowing about the drag is a slipstream who you're working with. But sometimes you can pick up a few thousandths of a second. Let's ride on board with some of these drivers as we continue to listen to the sounds at Daytona. And continuing just to listen to the sounds here at Daytona, just sinking everything in. Not much to talk about, to be quite honest. Everyone's just making their way around as we close our way, as we make our way closer and closer to the end of this event. Who decides to step out of line and go to the outside? The thing is, you could do that if you want, but that's only if you want to try and be first in the pit road. Even then, that's not going to be much. That's number 60 of Chris McCullers, who is going to be in line to get his lap back. Hello, moving down to the inside, it's Andrew Hibbs. Does he have any run on the inside? He does not. No help. The 13, we mentioned him a couple times throughout the first half of this event. A couple drivers make very, very wild evasive maneuvers. Not exactly wild, but more very close in some cases. Some drivers go to pit road now. With the 13, we maybe have tried to go to pit road that time. Continuing to run 13 laps down, still running, just trying to get whatever positions possible. If he had pretty much called it a night after wrecking 12 laps in, with absolutely nowhere to go, nothing of his own doing, he would be 32nd in scoring. Right now he sits 26th. Some drivers taking gas and go. Really no surprise. So maybe trying to take tires as well, at least right sides. I do applaud that decision, by the way, as well, of those pit stops. Trying to split it in half, really. He made it for those 25 laps. You can make it for the other 25 as well. And now at 26 laps to, or 24 laps to go, correction. At this point, it's just, again, a matter of waiting up until the end of this event, the closing laps, to see who would decide to make a move. At the moment, it's more of a fuel race rather than is an actual a race against your fellow drivers. Just waiting, waiting, and waiting. Stephen Massey continues to lead the field here. Closing in on 20 laps to go. We're going to go ahead and go at double wide. We'll be back with about 15 laps to go. You won't miss a single thing here on the Racing Line broadcast. And now we're going to the GTR, to the Elite Championship Racing GTR Sim Series here. Race number 1 at Daytona. 3 cautions so far. Pit stops coming up during the break, most likely. it is now coming to 14 laps to go. Currently 15 laps to go here on the Racing Line Broadcasting Network with the Elite Championship Racing GTR Sim Series. So far, no one has yet made a move to pit road. We're going to be seeing if anyone does decide to, as it was almost a miscommunication there between a couple of leaders in the lap car, that being Chris McCullough, I believe. In fact, no, that might be 53 of Matthew McCann. No front bumper, unfortunately. Same as Jeremy Freer, who's actually also going to go another lap down as well. Again, these drivers still continuing on, despite the fact that their cars are damaged. So now the fun part is trying to figure out when these drivers are going to pit. Coming to 38 laps to go for some of these drivers who have been on their runs. Really pretty much from 1st to 13th we expect to be going to pit road here if the lead cars eventually go to pit road. Because either 36 laps on your run if you're Jeremy Rubin, all the way up to 38 laps on your run if you're Kurt Quist, and 37 if you're anybody else from, well, 1st through 13th, aside from the two drivers I just mentioned. Closing in on the 10 lap to go point here of this race. That will bring up that information as well for you. See when these drivers last went to pit road. In comparison to everybody else. If they pit this time, yep, they're all going to pit this time. Of course. The typical broadcasting thing, you want them to pit, just talk about it a lot. If you want someone to light up their tires, just ask Kurt Quist to be hard on the brakes. On pit entry. Almost undershooting his pit box. Jeremiah Stutzman, the only driver to stay out. But in this case, now it's 2nd through 13th that have gone to pit road. 14th place is all the way on the back straightaway. If it's going to be a gas and go, well, consider that an easy, consider that pretty much easily done. And there's Jeremiah Stutzman, in fact. So these drivers have been about a lap, almost a full lap behind the leaders. There's Joshua Susi. Does Stutzman go to pit road? He does. And the caution comes out. He dives right back out. It's a spin on the exit of the trial. Is it Ryan Hedrick? No, he was already in pit road at the time. So he will be okay. Let's see what exactly caused the caution here. Going to be looking around. In fact, there is the 87, unfortunately, of Anthony Thitchener. I'll rewind this back one more time. In fact, a bit more. So this was on pit exit for Thitchener. 28 overshot his box just a little bit as we moved out to this wider angle. Here comes Kurt Quist. So the 87 to Thitchener, going, everything's fine. There's the 9. Everything's fine, everything's fine. Oh, did the 9 miss shift? That may have been it. The 9 may have missed shifted. And Thitchener tried to get off the track in time, but the caution was already out. So see if we can rewind this back to the on board of the number 9. Listen to his engine. I think he just got going way too quickly because he lost grip. But regardless, the caution is out. Luckily, the leaders were not coming around. So everything is relatively okay for now. So Jeremiah Stutzman now goes to pit road and he takes tires. Very wise move considering the situation he just got into. Not exactly he put himself in, the situation he had just happened to be in. The 4th caution of 120 laps. That is impressive. Only 3 cautions as well from actual wrecks. 1 caution from the midway stage break. And that's it. So this is going to be a huge reshuffle in terms of where drivers are going to be restarting. I think we have a huge amount of drivers actually behind the pace car as well. Yep, we do indeed. Consists of Brad Bothwell, Jim Westerfield, Kenny McCullough Jr., Jay Anderson. There's Jeremy Freer. That's pretty much it. Jay Anderson, 20th right now. He was running in the top 5 earlier on, and just got caught out with strategy. That's pretty much it. Keep in mind that after this race as well, we will be interviewing the top 3 the top 3 finishers. And we will be going to the end of our broadcast. After we go to our results, after we go over our finishing results, we're going to go over a quick break. And then we're going to be going for your top 3 interviews. And then the broadcast will pretty much be ended as the 18's internet issues have decided to crop back up one more time just before the end of this race as we get the 1-to-go signal. We'll get an 8-lap shootout here at the start-finish line. Boy, oh boy, this is going to be something. So it's Joshua Susi leading the field to the green flag here on this restart. My goodness. Started 8th place. Here he is in second. Stephen Massey has not yet gotten the memo that he's restarting second. Now he's gotten the memo. There we go. We have Jordan Mackey, Kurt Quist, the highest driver, I believe, to gain positions in this race overall. And then Trey Davis rounds out the top 6 positions, apparently. I was about to say top 5. It's one or the other. It's around that row. Live timing and scoring is quite fun sometimes. Your top 10 restarters at the line, though. Susi, Massey, Quist, 1st, 2nd, 3rd. Mackey, 4th. Leiby, 5th. And we have Davis, Moody restarting 6th and 7th. Rubin will restart 8th. Thitchener will restart 9th. And Mark Figueroa restarts in 10th. Getting ready to go back green flag racing. Will it be for 8 laps straight? Or will we have one more caution before the end of this event? That's up to these drivers. Green flag flies. And we're fully back underway here as these drivers get up to speed for the final 8 laps. Stephen Massey on lonesome. Kurt Quist now joins him. That's going to leave the 81 not out to dry. Quist not sure where to go. He moves up finally to the outside lane. Finalizes his decision. Drag race down the back. Kurt Quist, after starting in a way second to last, third to last, technically speaking, but second to last of the drivers who actually started this event, now sits 2nd place. Stephen Massey is the only driver in his way. 7 laps to go at the start-finish line. Closing in on the end of this race. Wouldn't be surprised if, we see more drivers try and peek out to the outside. Trey Davis in the number 30 looks up to the outside. Side by side for 3rd place. 1st and 2nd still single file. Quist does not want to make the move too soon. He doesn't want to go. He doesn't want to get himself trapped on the inside either. As Stephen Massey continues to lead this field in the final 6 laps. 5.5 on the back straightaway. Three wide in the back, the 42, the 00, and the 5. 00 dropping all the way back. Correction 42 dropping all the way back on the outside lane. Quist tries to move to the outside, dives to the inside. Caution is out with 5 laps to go. Not sure there was a spin or if that was called by race control. Looks like it was called by race control. Not sure as to why. Not sure if there's a discrepancy with the restart that was found or not, but we are back under caution. Again, not sure if it was, not sure exactly the reason, as it was called by race control. We'll see what information we can get in the meantime. We're going to be going to a quick commercial break once again. We'll be back after this.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics and engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12 Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members.
So we are back live with the replay as well of exactly what happened. The two cars up on the outside, the 27 of Gary Bauer and the 03, they make contact, and that is why we have a caution here. It was so far in the back. Everyone was still going at speed, essentially. I didn't see any sizable dips in speed, which is why it was pretty.
iRacing is
Gotta love scenes sometimes. In the meantime, we are at 1 lap to green. And perfect timing as well because we're coming to 2 laps to go here. Kurt Quist looking to try an impromptu last to first challenge here. Coming to the green flag. 2 laps to green. Not the best start on the outside lane. The inside lane got a great start. Both the 97 of Stephen Macy and the 81 of Joshua Susi. Kurt Quist knows this and moves right down to the inside lane. A very smart move. In fact, he tries to move right back to the outside lane, but it's not going to work in time. The outside lane stumbles back just a little bit. As they come down the back straightaway, outside lane being led by the 30 of Trey Davis. There goes Kurt Quist off to the outside. Davis gives him a shot down the back straightaway. If we get to the white flag, whatever happens will happen, and the race will be officially ended under green conditions. Quist does not have enough momentum up on the outside lane. This is going to be a very, very wild final lap. This white flag is not going to come out. If it does, it's going to be controversial. It is, as it's going to be a 3-car race. This white flag brought to you by Drivenclad. It's a 3-car race for the lead, as it's a huge crash back in the entire rest of the field as they wrecked at the tri-oval. Kurt Quist trying to do whatever he can. It could be 3 wide for the win for all we know, coming to the start-finish line. Stephen Massey in the 97 leads. Joshua Susi, 2nd place in the 81. 3rd place, Kurt Quist, trying to get around the outside lane, trying to side draft. Can he do anything? Does the 81 of Macy make a move as well? We'll see as they come down to the start-finish line. This time it's going to be a single file finish as the 81 sticks behind the 97 of Massey. Wow. The rest of the field still has yet to finish. Apologies for switching to the 00, who had to take a tow. It's a drag race at the end between McCulloch and Anderson. Anderson just barely sneaked out that 7th place position by about 100th of a second. But it is Stephen Massey with the race win. And with a lot of help from the 81 machine. An absolutely incredible job by everybody to make it to the end with only, 4 or 5 cautions. Wow. I'm going to double check things over here on this end. 97 and 81 on different teams. Pretty sure that 81 just really didn't have much for Stephen Massey coming into that final lap. As he stuck behind, really couldn't try and do anything. Kurt Quist was trying to go for his own run, so that may have been the reason why Joshua Susi just decided to stick behind, but man. And there are the burnouts from the 97. Well deserved. As you see, especially after starting in 6th place. Stephen Massey continues to burn it down here on the front straightaway. We're going to take a look right now at that final lap and what exactly had transpired there. Not sure how far back we are by the looks of this. In fact, we might be on the lap that very wreck happened. To look around Trey Davis in the number 30. In fact, we're going to slow this down here just to be on the safe side. And then we're going to go to our blimp camera angle. There is the 60 machine peeking right through the middle. That is Chris McCulloch. The 82 on the inside. Both drivers try to make a move for the same lane. 60 and the 82 make contact. And then it is just on from there. Look at how many drivers try and blaze through, and it just doesn't work. I see one driver actually that did make it one heck of an avoidance by the looks of it so far. I might be wrong, but that might have been Jay Anderson. That's right on board the roof cam of Jay Anderson before we go to our final results. And that quick commercial break before we go into our interviews. Oh my, wow. Oh, still makes contact. Here comes a 71 flying through. That is Jeremiah Stutzman. Anderson still finishing for us, Stutzman. We're going to ride on board with Anderson here throughout this final lap just to see what happened here to the 71. It looks like it may have been the difference in speed. And indeed it was. Anderson sneaked out the 60 car's momentum as well at the start-finish line, just barely. So we're going to stick with Anderson here on this final lap. Well, not exactly splits the middle, but goes right through. There's the 60 just up ahead. Still has momentum. Tries to use any and all draft possible. And then coming right to the start-finish line. We'll see how close this really was. Just right at the last second. Look at that. This is for 7th place, by the way. By just about half of a hood. That is absolutely, absolutely incredible. Well, we're going to take a look now at your finishing results here after officially 120 laps. It is Stephen Massey finishing in the first place position. It's Joshua Susi and Kurt Quist finishing second and third. The only 3 drivers really that had full speed by the end of that run. David Moody finished in 4th. 5th place is Jordan Mackey. Josh Mayu finished in 6th. We saw that battle for 7th right at the last second being between Jay Anderson and Chris McCullough. Jeremiah Stutzman finishes in 9th, and 10th place went to Gary Bauer. For some reason, name pronunciations have randomly slipped my mind. Andrew Hibbs finished in 11th. Brad Bothwell finished in 12th. Anthony Fitchner 13th. Joshua Johnson 14th. Matt Smethers finished in 15th. With Brian Dipple, Jacob Greider, Jeremy Rubin, Trey Davis, and Michael Leiby finishing 16th through 20th, respectively. That's not all, however, though, as we have 21st being Mark Figueroa. Kenny McCullough Jr. finished in 22nd. Ryan Hedrick, 23rd. Jim Westerfield, 24th. 25th was Matthew McCann. Jeremy Freer finishes in 26th, and then 27th all the way on back are drivers who did not finish the race or did not start, being John Mankowski, Joey Stats, 27th and 28th. 29th, Jonathan Boger, and 30th is Michael Atkins Jr., with Matthew Hibbs finishing 31st, 32nd being Daniel Reese. The 000 did not start this event. So those are your finishing results, but we are not done yet here at Daytona. The interviews of your top 3 will be coming in just a couple of moments' time, not exactly under, but say in about 1 minute. We will be back with your top 3 interviews.
What's that button?
Oh, there we go. Now we got you. Welcome back to the Daytona International Speedway, where we're going to be interviewing your top three here in just a couple moments. And we're actually going to be starting off here with the 95 of Kurt Quist, provided we do have him.
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Well, Kurt, you did an absolutely amazing job coming from 31st to finish in third place. An absolutely incredible job. And after this long of a race, walk us through your what's going through your head right now.
Yeah, man, it was a great run. It was a lot of fun to get back into the saddle this year. I actually just got a new wheel this week, the DRS Direct Force Pro, and this is actually my first race with it, my first big race with it, and to come home third with it was awesome. Got great backing with my team that killed Gale Performance and Legacy Esports there, and also to see my buddy Steven, even though we're not on the same team, it's one of my longtime friends on this sim. To see him get the win there, it was awesome, and I'm really excited for this season.
Especially after this race, only about I believe 4 to 5 cautions, just 4 to 5 cautions around that number. A great job to start off, and heading into what's going to be the road course next week. What are your thoughts?
I'm going to need a lot of practice, that's for sure. But we're going to dedicate it this next couple of days. I got a couple of days off of work this week, and we're going to get it racked down here, and hopefully we can go for a nice, I'm not a road racer by any means, but I'd like to get a top 15, maybe even a top 10 finish next week.
Well, we're going to go ahead and let you go unless you have a few other people to give a shout out to for your third place finish.
No, that'll be all, man. I really appreciate you for the broadcast. Like I said, I want to thank everybody at Legacy Esports, Circle B Diecast, Plan B Sales, and we're looking forward to a great 2021 season.
I'm going to go ahead and let you go. Congratulations, Kurt, on your third place finish. Great job.
Thank you.
We're going now to your second place finisher, that being the 81 of Joshua Susi. Joshua, you were pretty much there at the end, but unfortunately, coordination didn't seem to work up, but you did settle with that second place finish. A great job regardless, especially throughout this race. You got almost essentially pretty lucky with everyone behind you wrecking out.
Yeah, track position game just seemed to work out. I picked up the stage win. I learned something there from staying out as long as I could and taking less fuel, and was able to miss the wrecks. And I think it was just me and Steven that finished with a 0X. So to go through Daytona and do that, I'm pretty happy.
That is correct. I can see that over on this end. You two did finish with no incident points, so that is going to be pretty much a challenge going into the road course. Going into the road course next week, what are your thoughts, especially considering that where it's a drastic change with the first three races, this being, of course, the Daytona Oval, and then we go to the road course next week, as well as the Homestead Oval next the week after.
Well, I really wish it was an LMP2 car. These things drive like tanks, and I'm really new to the open setup stuff, so got a lot of work to do. I do have laps on the road layout with a cup car, both in fixed and one fun race that was an open setup, but I'm going to need a lot more and try to knock some heads with somebody, say, hey, how do I set this thing up?
Before we go ahead and let you go, anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to here for your second place finish this tonight?
Yeah, it's Jeremy Freer for signing me on to Hazy Days Racing. I kind of got late into this league. I know most of the guys here, but I didn't know this was all going together, so I got in about a week and a half ago, and I thank everyone for letting me in. All the guys that ran tonight, you for broadcasting. I think Pay to Win Setups, our title sponsor, I believe, and every other affiliated sponsor we have with the league. That's what really makes it turn. We appreciate it. I was in a hard spot there because I'm pretty sure Steven and Kurt are teammates, so I just had to settle for second and take the points, move on.
Well, we're going to go ahead and let you go. Congratulations once again on your second place finish.
Thank you, man.
That is the 81 of Joshua Susi. And last but not least, the driver that came out on top at the end of tonight. It is your race winner, that being the 97 of Stephen Massey. And Stephen, well, after almost pretty much about an hour and a half of racing, you can pretty much finally breathe a bit of a sigh of relief here.
Yeah, took me a few minutes to breathe, but yeah, I can finally breathe now.
Well, coming into the finish for tonight, especially after everything going into, you started the season off strong here at Daytona, really. So just going into the road course in Homestead in the next couple of weeks' time, your thoughts?
I'm glad I started the season off good because I'm pretty sure next week will not be the same. I'm
And
glad.
next week, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm happy that the Hater Makers Famous team, put together a good set, a fast set, and something that'll, get the season rolling early.
And like you mentioned, that's pretty much the interesting part of this start of the season is that it's so drastically different. It's in the first 3 races of the season. It really tests out the driver's skill right off the bat. So with the road course and again being the Homestead Oval, especially now with the Homestead Oval being with in this case, the new aerodynamics on the outside wall, that's going to play more than likely a huge factor in both setups as well as racing in general.
I really hope so. I mean, that's going to be awesome to be able to run the Highline again at Homestead.
And before we go ahead and let you go, anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to for your race win here tonight?
Yeah, I'd like to shout out the Haters Make Us Famous team and everyone else that put in work on the setup, and my crying kid in the background, and Susie and Kurt for not wrecking me, and everyone in the league for having a good race, and you guys for broadcasting.
I thank you for your time, and we have to talk to you again next week. Congratulations on your race win tonight.
Have a good day.
That is race winner Stephen Massey in the 97, doing an absolutely incredible job, coming out on top at the end of this event. Fireworks on track were limited. Fireworks off the track were not as limited. And, well, at the end of the day, I'd say that it was pretty much a very, very successful race at the end of the day. So we are going to go ahead and wrap up here from the Daytona Oval. And once again, we're going to leave you with your race results here on screen just for a bit. As we sign off from Daytona, we hope to see you next week at the Daytona Road Course.